was going to be with us this evening. Yep.
He's in Italy?
He's in Italy.
Nice.
And it's 5 o'clock. Are we good? Recording. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. So, good evening, everybody. First on our agenda is the affordable housing code revisions. We recently passed Article 4, Chapter 40, affordable housing, and in subsequent meetings and things, we've identified a need for a potential revision. And I think that's that our attorney take over. He's here. So,
Yeah, I think Ralph told, I finished it last night and sent it out to the mayor and to the LIHP people. Is it LIHP or LIPH? HB.
you got it right the first
And
time.
really when it comes down to it, I'll tell you, I was concerned about the foreclosure and I wanted to leave it so that they could only foreclose it at the lower value. In other words, the affordable housing value. And when they were here last time, they sort of told us that that's a real problem for them. And I asked around, I had a fairly long conversation with the attorney in East Hampton who runs their program, or at least is a lawyer to their program. And he's the former town attorney. He's semi-retired. He's been there for like 35, 40 years. I know him well. And they went through the same thing and they had to give in. In other words, the market required them. And they have much more experience, obviously, than we do. They've been doing it for decades, some for a while. And so I didn't take that out of the code. I modified it, however. And the way I modified it was that if there is a foreclosure, the proceeds of the foreclosure, it would come out of the system. Because the bank would want to be able to put it up for auction at whatever the market would bear. But what I put in there was that if that happens, the bank gets paid first. Then if there's anything left over, the person who lost the unit, the owner, would get paid, but only to the extent that he would be able to sell it if he voluntarily sold it. So if it's after 3 or 4 years, he gets a CPI increase plus an increase for any improvements that you guys have allowed him to make. So he would get the next amount of money, minus the bank, obviously. And then if there's anything left over, it comes to the village to be put in your affordable housing fund. So the bank, I believe, would have no reason not to lend under those circumstances because, I mean, realistically, they're lending at probably 50% of value, if you know what I mean.
Of the real value.
Well, I used, when we were discussing this and trying to work out the numbers, I used just rough numbers, which I think are relatively accurate. The affordable housing unit would be selling for approximately $500,000, and the market value of that unit is approximately $1 million. So the bank is unbelievably well secured, but realistically, unless you put this language in there, people could play around with it. For example, and I got this idea when I talked to the guy in East Hampton, because East Hampton even had greater appreciation than we've had. And so what could happen is, let's say somebody buys a unit today and realizes in 6 months that it's not worth $1 million, but it's worth even more than $1 million. So he just stops paying and it's foreclosed. Well, under normal rules, if somebody comes in there and pays $1 million for it, you just made $500,000 on your unit. That really shouldn't be the case. I mean, it shouldn't be a windfall profit. So in addition to changing the priority, putting in those priority provisions, I also put in a finding that you don't want anybody to get a windfall profit under these circumstances. And then there's some technical changes. So, and I understand from the mayor that we sent out a copy to everybody, so you can
All
look
the
at it.
trustees, I forwarded. Yeah. Draft of the revision.
Yeah, and there are other things. I added a definition of designee and, we tightened up some of the language so it's a little bit more logical than I made it. I don't know if it's really logical, but, the main thing was to give in to that market requirement that the experts came up with after I thought about it and discussed it with the East Hampton people, and tighten up from the prototype that we used for the town, which didn't provide for recapture. Ours now provides for this recapture, while at the same time protecting the person because that person, he or she, is not going to lose the anticipated investment because the second payment goes, if anything's left over, would go to that person, but only to the extent that that would be that the price would be the same as if they sold it. And there's a formula in the code for that. That's basically it.
Anyone have any questions or comments or?
I spoke with Jill at LAHP and she said that, she had seen some good changes and felt like it would be more.
Okay.
I think it addressed some of the other changes that need to be happening, the 130% of,
Can we change that?
yes, I think it should work. I mean, my opinion is, I would, like to see it move forward under this construct. And to the extent we find some massive issue with the liquidity of the financing for the buyers, then we may be forced to readdress it. But she's saying that it should work. I think you guys are comfortable with it. Let's give it a run.
Okay.
Um,
I anticipate, I think we're gonna notice it in the paper for public hearing at the November meeting. And then all things going well, we could probably pass a resolution, except that night, at that night. And that'll give Jill a chance to do more depth if she wants to. And, come to the public meeting if she has comments.
yeah, I think, yes, I'll push her so we can try to spearhead it earlier than that, but I think this will be sufficient. And then, we have a few steps to take that resolution and incorporate it into the, Attorney General book to start the, kind of finalization of that, but this is helpful, so thank you.
Okay, good. Right, anyone else? All right, thank you.
Thanks, good to see you guys.
And
Thanks.
I
Thank you.
feel much better about the attempt to keep the affordable units affordable. That's the basic thought.
Yeah, what John Janicki, the East Hampton attorney, told me is that when they first did these 30 years ago, they had like a lifetime program, and they sold some units for like $250,000 or $200,000. And some people held them for 30 years and they sold them for millions after that. And, you don't really want to incentivize people to, and I don't know whether we're 100% successful, but that's what I focused on. To try to make it available to the market, to the banks, while at the same time not trying to take away any incentive to play games with the unit.
Right. Thank you.
If anybody has any questions, if they look at it, give me a call.
Next thing on the agenda, pictures in the park. Do we have anyone here to speak to that application? Okay, so, hold that over, subject to change, I guess. And the next one is Christmas tree Anyone here to speak about that? That's the same thing we've done in the past, and had, very positive response to.
Yeah.
Never had any issues. We helped out. So, I don't think that's changed anything. That's
Very popular.
okay, so I think we put a resolution on that at the November meeting. And the East End Hospice tree lighting, I'm here for that. No? The same thing, it's an annual event, goes on around the hitch, and it's a very nice event, so no problem. Okay, resolution for that one to come. Um, I would like to swap the marina rules and rates with beach rules and rates. The beach, I think, is gonna be a longer conversation. Um, if that's okay with everybody, no problem. Typically, in the past, we've increased marina rates every other year at $9 foot. So we increased them last year, so this is the year we're not increasing in my mind. But if somebody has a different thought, that's fine. It's been, discussed several times in the past. Our marina is very, very reasonable compared to, very, very reasonable compared to public marinas. But at the same time, with the, spreadsheet that Jennifer did for us that I distributed to the trustees, we are covering costs. Even electric is within $500 of, being covered with our current rates. And we're covering the cost of operation, so I don't see a need to increase them. Our marina is very nice, but it doesn't have some of the amenities that private marinas have. So I think as long as we're covering the cost of operation, we're in the clear. Anyone have anything else? You wanna add to that?
I agree with that. I mean, we're not looking to pounce on people just because we have the opportunity to comparatively to other places, we're a municipality. So if we're covering ourselves, I think we're doing the right thing by voters and taxpayers.
And we're actually more than covering.
More than, yes.
So, yeah. Yeah. But admittedly, it's, there's a different balance in the board right now. Boat owners, we have 3 board members that own boats and 2 that don't, whereas before there was at one point 1 boat owner and 4 others that tended to give the boat owner a hard time in public. It's fun.
Yeah. I think that's reasonable.
Good, so we'll keep the status quo. There was one recommendation from our dock master, and I think I've scanned this and shared this in emails, is, his record of cancellations. He's thinking we should instill a cancellation fee of $25 if you don't rebook. Right now, rebook is nothing in cancellation. We've had a significant increase in people making reservations, not bothering.
Yeah, that ties things up.
Right.
So we should, see.
I think that's the slips for the season. There was a lot of slips that didn't get filled.
There's a lot of slips
I don't know if they got paid.
That they paid.
they paid. I mean, there's one particular voter that comes to mind pays in September when it's due almost a year earlier. But all the slips are booked and paid. And if people pay for their slip and don't put their boat in the water.
Logistically, I don't think this is possible, but free to offer someone a partial refund if they pay in full, but choose not to use it, so that we can open it back up to someone else.
What we do, and what we've done in the past, for those that pay for their slip and don't put their boat in the water by June 15th. If you wanna put your boat in the water, you have to notify the dock master, give him a week's notice.
Okay.
And with that in place, he can use it for
Transit,
transit.
yeah.
Or for the dock and dine situation. People come in and wanna dock their boat,
Right.
but dock for 3 hours, walk
That's
around town.
exactly what used to happen, yeah.
So,
Yep.
so we use the open slips for dock and dine.
It's
Uh,
recapture.
and it's an attraction. Other boaters know that's available. So, I think it works out. Well,
Yeah, I mean, I've had several people say to me, oh, there's slips open, I can't get one, I go pay for it.
there-
Whether there's a boat there or not, we can't control that, but.
Yeah, I simplify, I do know one boater in particular who's had mechanical problems throughout the season. And finally got it running in the water, 3 weeks ago, and then it broke down again.
This guy,
And the bigger, taller, yeah. Right. So, all those things happen, and it's part of the boaters and issues. Anything else?
No.
We're good to go? All right, so we can institute the $25 deposit for the cancellation fee rather.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Uh, Now we come to the beach rules and rates. Ryan, this is Denise put together for us today. Income from the beach. And Sean Johnson is going to come and appear and talk to us and help us give his input for this decision. He's unable to come because he got moved in the coach for the soccer team and they have a game tonight. So I met with him this morning and he came to that meeting as well. He reminded me of this email that he sent July 14th. And of our enhanced enforcement is what I called it at the time of the existing rules. So I would just like to, in an effort to convey Sean's thoughts, without him being here, I'll just read a few highlighted portions from that email, if that's okay. If you go to the third paragraph, quote, the first rule of the beach has always been that passes are non-transferable. It's been this way for the 10 summers I've been the beach manager, and on accordance with the rules started in the mid-1980s. Skipping down a little bit, previously, that being said, things did tighten a bit this summer because of the scams that got way too out of hand. Previously, I developed a transfer form with Mayor Moore. As soon as word got around, it's a gregarious use word causing a significant loss of revenue. And then another paragraph, he says, most village residents like that they have a small beach that limits passes. I hear as many positive comments as negative. Actually, the negative are few but loud. And further down, passes were simply given or sometimes sold off by residents. It would be a more difficult place to manage due to the sheer numbers of people. And if we get back to the pre-pandemic parking lot closures, residents will not be happy being told that we do not have a spot for them.
I just wanna ask something.
Go ahead.
We're using the word passes.
Yes. Parking. And well, the walk-ons are actually supposed to be.
It's mixed here.
Yeah, the walk-ons are supposed to be non-transferable as well.
Understood.
Yes.
Which it's referred to as passes, indicating that we're talking about walk-on, but nowhere in here are we talking about parking, well, not nowhere, but in a few spots, parking stickers.
I think he's intending parking.
He's talking entirely about parking stickers.
Yes.
Right,
Because that
because the
was-
passes, in my mind, are carry in your hand, that's a pass.
Yeah. Parking, I think it comes down to the parking passes and the
Stickers.
passes. And the parking passes sticker, yes, so it gets kind of more.
Well, yeah, we should be very clear about how we're defining these things. Parking stickers walk-on passes. That's how I feel. They're very different.
They are.
And it's important to know that because when we say parking passes, is that sticker on the car?
Yes. I think the big controversy, the biggest controversy this past season was sticker on the car.
Correct.
Agreed?
Agreed.
And that's what we're trying to address.
So the walk-on passes, I'm in full agreement with the non-transferable clause on those.
There
That-
is abuse on that as well.
Right.
Admittedly,
But, you know, if it
Yeah.
says my name on it, it really shouldn't be carried by another person to get on with other people. That's abuse in my opinion.
so, yes, that does happen. And at one point, years ago, we had a program with the photo ID walk-on.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was very expensive and the equipment wasn't reliable and it was, difficult to manage. So, was abandoned basically, and we just have our other walk-on pass. So that being said, and in the meeting this morning, Sean shared in addition that basically, I asked him how many complaints do you think complaints were there this season? Basically, people that were very unhappy and upset. He said, I think there were less than 20. And we issued about 300-400 passes.
I had more than 20 myself
Okay.
complaints.
All right.
Unfortunately, I get those kind of calls.
Well,
So
you're the guy.
that, I guess, unfortunately.
So do
Uh,
I.
Well, you're the sixth trustee.
The six wheel.
You're by default, you get them.
Right. And in an effort to manage those complaints, they were referred often from Sean or from Brian to me. And I tried to rectify them and I copied, the emails I sent to these people and each of the situation to all of the, trustees. Whenever I came across this, so that Sean has said he thinks that the best way to do this is with an appeal process. Somebody has a situation, they wanna appeal the situation. The pass is still non-transferable, basically. But there is the sticker pass, but.
It's super important to be definitive about this. I'm not talking about a walk-on pass, it's sticker.
Parking sticker
Yes.
are non-transferable and they always have them.
And how do you define transferable?
Well, there's, person that's entitled to the parking sticker is, the easiest one is the resident tax sticker. You own the home, you're entitled to two
Up to
stickers.
two.
And as of last year, the second sticker cost a second parking sticker. Okay,
So what's the transfer?
transfer is where you're entitled to that sticker,
Mhm.
but you want to place it on somebody else's car.
Okay.
That's a transfer.
So does somebody else? So if it's you're a woman and you're on the deed for a property and you want to transfer it, the second one for $40 to your husband's car. Why does it matter what license plates that car has?
I think the intent is to keep the parking lot reserved for residents.
They are.
Whereas if you're allowed to, for example, myself, if I got a second sticker and I have a nephew in Riverhead who would love to use the beach frequently, so I could pay my $40 and give that sticker to my nephew who lives in Riverhead.
That'd be great.
I didn't think so. I disagree. No.
You pay taxes and you can't decide what car that goes on? Your nephew or your your son or your nanny lives in Riverhead,
Is the nanny's a
And
perfect
they can't
example
use
that's
it?
taking care of, that has to,
Well, see,
that's
that
two
gate
stickers, no matter where that car gets parked or is registered. I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
wait a minute. If, well, right now we give out 2,400 stickers.
I know the numbers. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I know the numbers, but I don't see a crowding problem at that beach. I've looked at it this entire season because I've gotten dozens upon dozens of calls with people irate about not being able to get a second sticker, totally fine with the $40. And they can't get a second sticker because they wanted to put it on their wife's car in Florida, registered in Florida, their nanny's car, their uncle, I don't care who it is really.
So those special situations, if actually some of the special situations we accommodated and they
But
came.
that's
to
all that
me,
we come, like what, you have a right, you're a taxpayer. And you have a right to two stickers. You can pay $40 for the second one. Why does it matter what car it goes in?
Because I think it'll cause overcrowding if we open it up in this manner. And Brian, it's something, if we do it, we're not gonna back off, we're not gonna be able to back off on it.
I disagree. I fully disagree. I do not think we have a crowding problem.
If,
I-
if I'm a resident, well, let me. do
That
the
parking
other-
lot was half empty the entire summer. I watched
Well,
it.
there was, yeah, if, we do not want the situation that occurs often whenever I visit Florida. And they have parking lots at the beach. And there are lines of cars waiting, get in. And we don't have that. We don't want that either.
No, we don't.
We don't.
But
want
we've
to
never
walk
been
through.
there. And before we
afraid just
cracked
with-
down this summer, all the people that called me that complained cited that they were allowed that second sticker in the past. And we still didn't have any issues. So we've experienced it. This is not a what if. This is what happened 2 years ago. 2 years ago, when people were able to do this before the crackdown, that I got all the calls saying, what changed? You know full well that the dialogue was, why did it change? Why did it change? Why did it change? And your response is, it hasn't. So, well, the code hasn't, but the enforcement of it has. So this is the way it used to happen, and we never had issues with the crowding. If we're gonna base this on an exception that someone might have gotten sneaky, I don't think that's the way to govern. To say, what if this person got crafty and sold that sticker? What if the what ifs happen all the time?
Well, if you change, so the stickers are. And then some, I wouldn't blame people at all. They get their two stickers, all the residents get two, we might as well just send them out with the tax bill, mail, two stickers.
No, I don't propose that. That's very different. Because the process that I think should happen is someone goes down to the beach, and just like the commercial properties require authorization of the owner to issue a second sticker or sticker to their tenant. And that's documented and it's placed on the car. I think the same thing should happen with residential, where someone goes down, says, I own a property at this address. Check it out. Yes, you do. I have one sticker on my car. I would like my second sticker to be put on this car. I will fill it out. I, Brian Tiemann, authorize this person, this license plate number to have my second sticker. Whether it's their nanny, their uncle, their friend, whoever it is, then that gets placed on the car and they're done. That's all they can use. And you pay the $40.
So when you're saying transferable, you're just saying that you would allow but this process of giving out, and putting the sticker on the car that we're all familiar with would remain the same, just to make it clear.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
You couldn't sell the sticker, you would have to go down to Sean's office and they put it on the.
it's gotta be put on the car. And that's why I asked for the definition about transferable. What is that definition? I'm not saying that you can take it off of one and put it on another and dish them out and sell them and,
Right.
you know, that's not about. I'm talking about the same process that you would put the sticker on the second car if it was registered in the village,
So the.
as if it's registered anywhere else.
So realistically, since we're talking about language,
Like,
in stickers, what you're talking about is not so much transferability, but assignability.
yes, that's why I
It's not
focused
like
on the
you're,
definition.
would you assign the right to have them put the
Assign,
sticker
that's the
on your
word.
friend's car? That's what you're talking
So,
about.
Absolutely, 100%.
I'm not gonna make comments about it, but I just wanted to make it clear.
Clarification, yes.
so with that in mind, I think we agree. Because we were discussing earlier a process.
So it's about process. It's about process. Yes.
And what was happening last season, if people were appealing their situation. And if, as you said, we had them, fill out a form, fill out a statement and had a notarized signature on that statement, that this is the situation. And I would like the sticker to go on every.
But why can't that just be the process? Why does it have to go through all this? Why do I have to get 30 phone calls, 40 phone calls to get them an exception? The taxpayer should be able to go down and use that process, just like the commercial property owners.
The process is in place now.
I think.
Well, not according to what we did this past year.
I'm not talking about past year.
Well, I am, because this is where he's differing from me. Are,
Go ahead.
are you suggesting that we change this year the way we did it this past year?
I suggest you expect.
I am not. That's different.
Well, is it?
At the end of the year, I think when I saw the lady in here, and you're talking about that process.
like an appeal.
Yeah.
Well, I think we also have to think about.
Give them a sticker. As long as the front car is there, it's documentation process.
No, I won't say no documentation, just if you're there, you have to be there, let's say, I wanna put the sticker on my parents' car, because they live here in the summertime.
Right.
And they drive my daughter back and forth to the beach, so if I go down there and I get the sticker on my truck, and I go down there and I say, I would like to put this sticker, my other sticker, on my parents' car that's registered in Florida, but I'm here to approve that goes on. That you don't have to go through emails and processes, because
Or appeals,
I would just get upset, I would get really frustrated.
or even an excuse.
For that to,
Like you just said, Chris, to explain, well, it's my parents,
who cares?
I don't care. Well,
But I'm here to approve it.
why does the taxpayer have to explain their reasoning for putting it on that car? It might be more beneficial for it to be on that car for them than their own car registered in the village. You know, if I want my parents to take the kids to the beach, I might choose to put it on there. We only have one sticker.
But we make our choices of what car, what stickers go on, because of what car we're gonna use at that beach, town beach, village. I just don't think, I think this is an example of overcomplicating. I think it's overcomplicated.
Another thing though, that, and I'm not disagreeing. I just wanna point out that Sean had said, you know, like, cause he's there and a lot of people come to him for things. So like, let's say you rented your house out, right? And you're gonna give your past car sticker to your tenant.
Can't be
Now,
done without a rental.
well, no, rental permit in place, but they have to come and buy it, right? That's $975 that now you're not using it because you're not gonna be here because you're renting your house out. So now you're giving it to them. So Sean was, the reason for maybe having a process where people had to maybe go out of their way to do it is just to kind of discourage that kind of behavior. Like, I would love my babysitter to have a pass because she takes my kids to the beach 3 days a week. I didn't obviously do that this year, but I'd love to give it to her, but for it to rightfully be that way. So I get what you're saying, that we need to have a process, but it shouldn't be taking up your entire day or getting things signed or, doing anything that is gonna make it difficult for anybody. But I also don't wanna see us having to charge residents $100 because we're missing out on money that people would otherwise be paying for as a beach pass for $650 to people in Remsenburg and West Hampton. Not that it's a lot, because it's not a lot of people that do it.
Taxpayer entitled to,
Yes,
the taxpayer is entitled to what they're entitled to, which is
two
two
stickers.
stickers. And the semantics are one thing, but that's what it comes down to. for
Yeah.
me.
If the person wants to give it to their tenant to say, and let the tenant save $1,000, that's okay.
But they also can,
They
have taken the two passes, so if you're renting, you have to relinquish one sticker.
Two
You can't have two vehicles stickered already, and then rent out your house and that for a third.
Very complicated. I don't even
Yeah,
understand.
It's still limited to.
There's, but again, governing on exceptions is not.
What you could do is you could just simply not have a notarized document. You could just say that you're not giving this to your tenant who's paying you.
Right, but then that tenant, if they don't have a rental permit, then that property owner is in violation of the law to have a rental permit for that tenant. So we're gonna make this entire beach rule around the fact, the assumption that there might be a homeowner or two that get crafty
No.
and, oh, wait, and decide that instead of getting a rental permit, because if they got a rental permit, then the person could get the sticker themselves. But
It costs money.
they decide for the rental permit, renters in my past haven't had to pay for that second sticker if it's a sign from the homeowner.
Here,
For it to be the second.
this part of summer people, they do have to pay for a sticker, even so they, I think is it the $9.75? I don't know. It's a good amount, I think it's
Yeah. It's $650.
$650. So they, so seasonal renter in West Hampton Beach. So I have a tenant who rents the house on South Road,
Mhm.
and that homeowner gives up one sticker. They're not gonna be here. And then they fill out their rental permit information and give it to the building department, and then
Okay.
their name is on the list, and they pay their $650. And now they both have one for the season.
So we have maybe a handful of people who catch on to that. They're
Yes.
crafty. They say, I'm going to give my second sticker to my tenant. Now, they either got a rental permit or they didn't. If they got a rental permit, they're saving them the $600. They didn't get a rental permit, they're in violation of the law. And we're trying to overcomplicate this to accommodate for the fact that some people might, as homeowners, rent their place and choose to give their second sticker to their tenant. Why is that any different than giving their second sticker to their mother-in-law, their friend, or their spouse? It's still two stickers.
Right, you keep
We're not overloading the parking lot.
second sticker.
Second.
There were some instances where it was the first sticker, because the person just zealously didn't have a car, didn't own a car, and the son came and wanted it on the, and that's all well. and
Okay,
good.
got it.
If you look at the income statement, 339 permits for the $650 tax payment. So that was $220,000 in revenue came from, so if people catch on that they don't have to solve that,
I
maybe it increases.
If I'm not saying it's not, but if I may interject.
Right.
That's only if you're renting out your house for fire or something. The vast majority of summer renters are not doing that. So we're getting a week, we're getting 2 weeks, we're maybe getting a month, but so. In what I think Brian is saying, that you're still doing it to two. That would work, it would only work once for people to do that, to relinquish their. I don't know that how many people you're losing in this scenario. Rents, I mean, Kim,
Yeah.
you're maybe more familiar with it.
Well, I think also a point that Sean made was that going up from the 550 to 650, some people were like, I'm not paying the extra $100. So you could see from what Denise wrote that we had 372 permits last year, and this year we have 339. So I think he said people came up with their checkbooks, were ready to write it for maybe 575, like a $25
And left
increase,
over $100.
and left over $100.
Right, well, again, I'm
So-
going back to taxpayers, and that's my responsibility.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stick by that. I don't think it's right to deny the taxpayers their right to two stickers with an extra $40. And we're going in a big circle, and we're considering legislating based on exceptions. And I stand by that. I don't think it's right. Nothing's perfect. There's not a perfect solution.
Well, there's,
So,
I'm afraid of overcrowding and especially with the fact that we have almost 100 new units coming on.
that's valid and fair, and I think we need to reassess every year. That's the reason we're here. If we see an issue with spaces,
I've never had a problem keeping this.
no.
But, and we would like to keep it that way.
But again, what I'm suggesting isn't to add cars to the parking lot. In fact, it's probably still less what I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting that we change the rules to give more parking stickers out. I'm suggesting that we loosen the terms for the taxpayers to use their two and not
Make the second sticker reassignable, is that?
what-
Not what he's saying, is that
No.
they come down for the season, like I go down there and I get my resident sticker. And if I wanna get another one, I have to go down there with, my friend or my, brother-in-law or whatever, and then they put it on the car for my brother-in-law. And that's it.
correct.
But they put it on the car, and I assume that I have to go down there to show the bona fides of.
That's it.
everything.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what Brian's saying. So, yeah, the right to assign would be there, but it wouldn't be transferable. Once they put it on the car, they're stuck.
That's it. Yeah,
Just
and
like,
that's the way it's
just like my sticker.
pretty much always been. And on top of it, when I said a possible reduction, we just talked about the fact that apparently $100 more has turned some people away. I know that even though most people say $40 is no big deal, it has turned some people away or made them think, is it worth the extra 40? We don't really use the second car. When it was free, yeah, just throw it on. So we're giving out somewhat a false representation of stickers where, hey, if two of them are free, let's just throw them on. A lot of those cars never went to the beach. So now people are thinking, do I need the second sticker at $40? So there's a little bit of a balance there. Long story short, I still don't think we have an overcrowding problem yet. And if we do, we have to address it.
You have see this chart?
Mhm.
It says limited complimentary and all those kinds of things.
Mhm.
And then we have these regulations. Parking stickers, passes right here. The first one is non-transferable. You have verbiage. Would you please come up with verbiage that would convey and we can discuss further?
Sure. I'll ask our attorney for help.
now question.
I only got one sticker last year.
So if you're getting your sticker on your car,
I get an attorney's sticker and I get residence. I'm gonna make a lot of.
if you're getting a sticker on your car, and you're giving it to a babysitter,
$500.
do they still have to have one of your walk-on passes? This would be
Babysitter?
Yeah, like if you're saying you're giving it to your mother-in-law, your nephew, or whoever, do they have to be as one of your 4 walk-on passes that you have to take in their own?
Walk to the beach.
But that's still what I'm saying, not to give them 4 more passes.
Sure. With another question is, how does it work when you go down and get your sticker on your car and you get your walk-on pass? And then your husband, luckily his car is registered in the village,
Yes.
goes down, gets his sticker, and his walk-on pass. That's that's my answer.
Yeah, but we don't get any more walk-on passes.
So
by
same thing,
moving
it's
it to
just
somebody
stickers
else.
and the pencil,
Yeah.
that's it.
You get four.
Same number,
Yes, yes.
same number.
I'm just making sure we're on the same page.
I'm not looking for any more of anything, I'm just looking for equity.
Yes.
So just so I understand it, so if you have two stickers, you only get four walk-ons.
Yes.
Based on the charter.
It's not like you get eight.
No.
Wait, no. Why don't you just go back to 2 years ago and use all those rules and you'll be done?
I like to,
No,
Me too.
very simple,
well,
except I am supportive of the $40 each to pay the lifeguards
Yes.
and staff, but yes, I agree, John.
we didn't really change the rules. That's.
We didn't change the
That's on me.
rules, we changed the
It's on me.
enforcement and it was a
We changed the
disaster.
Enforcement, and that's on me, yes, absolutely.
Now you can unenforce and go back to two.
Well, I think we should have the rules reflect what we intend.
Mhm.
And it'll be straightforward, and in fact, enforcement will be straightforward. It'll be easier on everybody if we have our rules targeted on intent.
Agree. Yep.
Yes? Yeah. Okay, so, did I propose at this time we raise the 40 to 100 or no?
We're gonna lose tons of revenue.
But as an aside, 40 did accomplish $10,000 in revenue, which is what we were hoping for. And similar to the marina, the beach does support itself.
Mhm.
And again, we don't have some of the amenities some of the private beach clubs have, so it's a very similar situation to the marina in my mind.
Yeah, we don't wanna, hammer people.
So you and our attorney, some words to fill in the chart and in the verdicts, correct?
I don't either. Thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
I would have looked at them.
Would you circle them? So
Okay, yeah, it's not much, I have a couple of words.
We also don't usually adopt it until spring.
Right.
It's not like it's.
Well,
Got a
I
few
think we
months
should
to go on.
start doing that.
just
We should start doing it consistently along with the marina, because usually the marina rates and rules we adopt in December. Because letters go out January and people are supposed to have their fee in for the slip. Because voters make early arrangements.
Start sending stickers.
So, but it'd be nice to have all this in place for the budget process in advance.
Yeah.
So I think if we can get this nailed down to the December meeting, we should. We're probably in good shape.
Great, appreciate it. Thanks.
They, you know.
It's not supposed to
But
be
I-
at this meeting.
but anyway, it's a favor. Can you go to Happy Chat before you do HVAC? Cause I wanted to hear that and I have to leave.
You're not interested in the HVAC.
I assume you'll get it done.
Let's put it to a vote. Do anybody? I have no problem changing Happy Chat to next is.
Great.
So Happy Chat, I put out an email with, proposed thoughts. I just want to confirm before I go back and ask our requestee about the Happy to Chat bench, if he is agrees with our approach, because bench permit from 2016, and many of them have not many of them have emails, it's all snail mail addresses. So we'll try and contact as many of these people as we can, asking if they would be interested in participating in this program and have an additional plaque on their bench. I would prefer that it only be benches that only have one plaque at this point. I don't want a multitude of plaques and benches, so one plaque benches and things like that. And we're agree that it should be a similar size, configuration, material plaque with Happy to Chat. Whatever.
So if I
your,
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be where you're gonna slap those on. What?
Yeah, it's a choice. If you have a bench, you can say, I want it.
So, yeah.
Crossing me off the list. Yeah.
So when you be an opt-in situation, we're.
Opt-in.
only up.
And it's. Respond positively to opt-in, would we? Yes.
No.
That's the point.
So if you can't
Good
reach
point.
people, how are you?
With a lot of these people, we aren't gonna be able to read, that's why it's.
So then
If they
they're
hear
not
by.
there.
We might not even have any.
rumor, oh, I have a bench and I hear that there's this is available, they're gonna opt in.
Keep us here in mind.
Be an opt-in. If you're giving you nightmares.
We famously don't like to talk.
I'm older now. Yeah. You could do the
That's your
HVAC
last-
without.
That's your
It's pretty exciting.
day for the year, okay? That's it. Done.
Time. I forget. The first Thursday of every month I get stand up. Not on a speed. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks, John.
It's nighttime. It is nighttime.
Very much. Henry, can you see if Cal and Mina are out there?
He was gonna go to your house.
They might be out there.
Village Hall, HVAC. I sent out emails about that. Matt isn't here because he's on vacation, but, he's recommending that we continue with Dynair because we have some improvements with them under their contract and then transition potentially next year to another vendor.
Maybe Dynair will step up.
Yeah.
I think Matt's participation has been really helpful and guiding maybe. Yeah.
We've been working on Dynair for years, but now I think they've got wind of the fact that we're looking elsewhere, seriously.
I think it's been a little bit better the last month. The temperature swings and.
Right.
So I'll put on the November seventh resolution to renew the Dynair contract.
Sounds good. Yep. It's a pretty good price.
Yes. The other one was within 1,000. But
Okay.
we're hoping for the service.
Right. And they're familiar with the system. Part of.
They installed it, they run it for change to now.
Great.
Happy to chat, which we're good. Just one more thing, I put out an email about the parking lot historical society adjacent to the fire department, George Vickers and. The fire department put out a bid for resurfacing and relining and it's $1,500, so I think we can go for that.
I responded.
Yeah.
By email. Sounds great.
I'll put that on the resolution as well, and I'll fight to George and thank the fire department.
That's great.
And we do have two resolutions, one of which I want to hold over. We have the award on the bulkhead replacement project awarding the bid, and I was informed that I should hold off and contact the Department of State because it may jeopardize the grant application if we go ahead too far with the project before the award of the grant. So I have to, this has all been last minute, so I will contact the Department of State and make sure that we are complying with their requirements to still be qualified for the bid. And hopefully we can go ahead and award the bid and get it moving because it is, I think, a situation that we get this project underway. But I also don't want to jeopardize the grant. Okay.
Yeah, it's a great catch.
We may find out what we.
Yes, maybe on this same resolution, maybe on the November 7th. I just have to make sure Department of State is we're complying with their requirements, okay? So this is a regular meeting. I did call it to order, okay?
Yes.
So we have one resolution, on credit card, Mr. Amy, be so kind.
Absolutely. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the opening of a TD Bank credit card with the approved cardholders being the clerk treasurer, the deputy treasurer, and the chief of police.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And that's it.
Anyone else have anything else?
Henry.
Henry's gonna go home.
It is not on the agenda, so if anybody has an objection, it's fine. Oh, the executive session, section, just a contractual update, the contractual update, and it'll take 10 minutes, makes it much.
Motion to close the meeting.
Second.
And then go into executive session.
Executive session, yes. Going downstairs.
Yep.
Oh, no.
You've got 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
We used to think you do.
Okay.
Oh my god.